A note on just the incredible production design of Alex DiGirolando. Yes. This is a real painting that hung in Jonathan Larson's apartment. A friend of Jonathan's painted it, and we got permission from them to mount it here. There's the wall of books and the bend in the shelf, which is a detail we found from this extraordinary video Julie Larson gave us of Jonathan filming his own apartment for insurance purposes. Hi, I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda, the director of Tick, Tick, Boom.
I'm Andrew Garfield. I play Jonathan Larson in Tick, Tick, Boom.
And this is Notes on a Scene.
That's right.
This is the life. Yeah! This is the life. Bo, 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 bo. This is the life. Bo, 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 bo.
So this is our a cappella number in Tick, Tick, Boom. It's called Boho Days, and in John's original performance, when he would perform this as a rock monologue in the late 80s and early 90s, he would start the show this way, and it was this very personal song full of inside jokes, and he would just go and just sing a cappella to the audience. And I wanted to figure out a way to put that in the body of the piece, and so we reconfigured it as an impromptu number at a party.
I was stressed about most scenes, but this one in particular, because you know when you read and you see John gets the party started with an impromptu, improvised singing number, solo. A cappella, you kind of go, no thanks, I would rather not do that. And then of course you realize you have to.
Showers in the kitchen, there might be some soap. Dishes in the sink, brush your teeth if you could cope.
And Lynn didn't know if I could sing, and I knew that I couldn't. So there was an interesting dynamic at play there.
Andrew and I shared a massage therapist, but that's a very misleading title.
Yeah.
Because what he really does is stick his elbows into you as deep as possible, and it's painful. I knew that Andrew was a client of his, and I think I asked him, do you think he could sing? And he's amazing at everything he seems to do. And Greg was like, oh, sure, buddy. And, you know, that was enough for me. You have no idea how incredible this man was in Angels in America and what a force of nature he is on stage, full stop. And I just felt like that guy can do anything. And the particulars of playing piano and singing is something that if I can give him the time and resources to feel comfortable doing it, I know he'll attack it with the same fearlessness he attacks everything he does.
And me and Lynn were brainstorming, and we were talking with Stephen Levinson, our writer, and I was just trying to figure out a way to get into this so it didn't just feel
like beach blanket party where it's like, hey
yeah,
guys,
exactly, yeah.
And then everyone knows the words
sing.
And everyone joins
yeah,
in. You don't want that corny musical theater,
exactly.
like weird, awkward leap from speech to song.
So we talked about lots of different ways in, and I think what I finally felt was the most organic way in, and kind of spoke to where Jonathan was as a character at this point in the film, is that the party is dying, and that's devastating for someone who never wants the party to end, which is Jonathan. The beginning of this song is like the final attempt to seduce my best friend back to a life of poverty, like stay with me here in destitution and look at all the beautiful ugliness and joy that you're going to be missing out on.
Showers in the kitchen, there might be some soap. Dishes in the sink, brush.
Immediately.
Just to talk about some of the folks in this room, Anna Luizos and her wife, Robin Goodman. And Anna Luizos is an amazing set designer. She was the set designer for In the Heights on Broadway, and her wife, Robin Goodman, was the producer of Tick, Tick, Boom off Broadway and was friends with Jonathan Larson. So I love the idea of them as Jonathan's neighbors who come to any shindig that Jonathan and his friends throw. There's the great Ben Levy-Ross, an Evan Hansen alum, who plays Freddie, who's his cohort in The Diner. There's the great Anissa Folds, who's in our improv group, Freestyle Love Supreme, who's going to be in the Superbia workshop. And Kate Rockwell, who's a Bring It On the Musical alum, who is also in that workshop. And then, you know, there's Gabriella Montez from High School Musical, also known as Vanessa Hudgens, who is just truly the life of any party she's in. And so it was real. Some of the cutaways to her taking up the mantle of the song are really some of my favorite things.
And she has a lollipop in her hand, and
yes.
she's banging it on a pipe right now, but she'll be banging it on something else a little bit later.
Indeed.
That is not a euphemism.
It's a real thing.
Dishes in the sink, brush your teeth if you could cope. Toilets in the closet, you better hope there's a light bulb in there.
Not today.
This is the great Lauren Marcus. This character we created for Lauren is actually based on Vicky Leacock, who was indispensable asset in the making of this movie. She was one of Jonathan's closest friends and patrons, helped pay for productions. If you watch the movie a second time, you'll always see Lauren in the frame whenever Jonathan is working on a production. She's the one behind the camera. So often in real life, she was the one who was filming moments in Jonathan's life. She was there with a camcorder on John's last day in the Moondance Diner. I love this interaction with them, and it was compounded by the difficulty of cueing the light going out right when she opened the door. That was tricky, but you know, it was that was a really kind of interesting kind of character that has emotional resonance for the folks who really knew Jonathan and loved him. We took it from the beginning of Jonathan starting the beat all the way to this moment without cutting, and we did it in a wide and we did it closer, as you see here. To really buy that everyone is picking up this beat and running with it, I think you need to see it uninterrupted.
This is terrifying to do. We wanted it to feel really, really spontaneous and alive and improvised, like as if it was all being done on the fly.
I wanted that feeling of him finding the lyrics as he was doing it. So him going to the kitchen and saying bathtub in the kitchen, there might be some soap, like him just really finding the song as he goes along. And he charted the path to be able to do that.
And kind of covering the whole apartment as well, because it's like, it becomes an honoring of every nook and cranny,
and it
like
also
touching it
and
all.
it also brings everyone else into
Right.
it. Like it brings those guys who are drinking in the kitchen to sort of see what's going on over there.
Revolving door roommates, prick up your ears.
I see Kate Rockwell steadying you.
Yeah.
And now he's going through a roll call of all of the roommates that he's lived with, and these are real name checks of the people who lived with Jonathan in the many years he sort of stayed in this 5-story walk-up on Greenwich Street.
David Timber. Tim was just a guest from June to January. Margaret, Lisa, David, Susie.
Sorry, a note on just the incredible production design of Alex
Yes.
DiGiorlando. This is a real painting that hung in Jonathan Larson's apartment. A friend of Jonathan's painted it, and we got permission from them to mount it here. There's the wall of books and the bend in the shelf, which is a detail we found from this extraordinary video Julie Larson gave us of Jonathan filming his own apartment for insurance purposes. One of the things his best friend said that also really directs, sort of inspires the impetus of this number is that I remember Matt telling us that like he somehow made really ordinary things this occasion. He always found a way to make something a sense of occasion. So no, it's not just a cast party for his girlfriend's friends. It's a celebration of our lives.
Stephen, Joe, and Sam, and Elsa, the bill collector's dream who still is on the lam. Don't forget the neighbors, Michelle and Gay.
It's like John is seeing them last minute, and it's like there's something so beautiful about the honoring of, this older generation of artists, and like I don't know, there's like it's all inclusion. Look at that frame.
Yeah, it's pretty
like,
beautiful.
The embrace.
And also the fact that Robin logged hours in the real apartment on which this apartment is based, and it's really kind of a lovely embrace across time in a lot of ways.
Michelle and Gay, family, then a family. Hey.
Here's the emergence of the great Alex Shipp, and
circle.
she is wearing a coat because we've got the iconic green dress that Jonathan wrote a whole song about underneath that coat, and we've got to reveal that later. The other thing I'm trying to set up here is making sure that those lyrics that Jonathan in this context is making up on the fly.
This is the beauty and the curse of John's brilliance, is that he would be honest in a way that was, maybe borderline inappropriate or hurtful to his own causes. And he's stoned and he's drunk, and you know what happens in those moments, and he's high off of performing and everyone's into it, so he's just gonna keep rolling with it and flowing with it. And that was one of the things about, I've been thinking about this today a lot, about the space that you set up on set. After all that prep and after all that study and getting to know his friends and his family and reading and looking and learning and getting the skill set out for singing and piano, I felt like I was able to come onto set and get out the way and let Jonathan just kind of like tell me where to be and how to it was the joy you brought, but it was the trust that you brought, and it was the confidence that you had in us and in yourself, and all that spontaneity and like inappropriateness was able to come through in ways that were subtle and sometimes not so subtle, and this next moment is not so subtle.
Time is flying and everything is dying. I thought by now I'd have a dog, a kid, and wife. The ship is sort of sinking.
You said the quiet part loud, John Larson. At this point, they are at a point in their relationship where Is this going to exactly? Is this going to a deeper level, or are we going to sort of pursue our muses, and is that going to take us in different directions? And so for him to say, "I thought by now I'd be married to this person he hasn't had this conversation with yet," it's a really lovely sort of impetus to get us to the next place in their relationship. We know that conversation's now gonna happen because John said the quiet part loud, and it rhymed.
Sort of sinking, so let's start drinking before we start thinking.
And there's his friend Roger. Josh Henry's character is based on Roger Bart, who's an incredible actor. I think he's performing on the West End right now as we speak. And he and John were starving artists together in the 80s. They waited tables at different restaurants. They'd feed each other during their respective shifts. And if you see any footage of John performing Tick Tick Boom, that grainy VHS footage that we had access to, Roger's always in the background singing a high harmony, and Josh fulfills that function beautifully here. He's like, "Oh, he said the quiet part loud. The ship is sort of sinking."
And he gives me the drink,
and he gives
hands
you
me
the drink,
my
and he
scotch,
like, "Let's move elsewhere, buddy."
Let's
That's a
keep it
good
light.
friend right there.
Yeah, that's a good friend.
This is the life. This is the life. Bo, 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 bo. This is the life. Bo, 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 bo.
He was brilliant at writing a hook that you could get stuck in your head within seconds.
Yeah.
That, you know, even as he's like messing around with this song, you're seeing his virtuosity on display.
This is the life. Bo, 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 bo. Bohemia.
And that final "ya ya ya," which is just Josh Henry having fun
Just
doing
being
stuff.
genius. Yeah. When we finished it, I could feel it was really special.
I'm very aware that I'm standing here talking to you because I saw Rent for my 17th birthday in 1997. That was the show that made me feel like I could write a musical. And then when I was 21 years old, I see the off-Broadway production of Tick Tick Boom, and it felt like a message in a bottle for me and hopefully for all artists. And so for my directorial debut, I knew that that story was one I knew on a bone deep level, and if I only ever get to make one movie, this is one I know I could feel proud of and knew something about making.
I think you're gonna get to make at least one more movie.
Oh, thanks, man!